Hello everyone, I'm DExus from the DExus Show. I've loved this pink puffball and his world ever since the good old 2013. It all started when my stepbrother was playing Kirby and the Amazing Mirror on the TV. He invited me to play and I fell in love with the game immediately. Especially thanks to Kirby's unique ability to copy abilities. After that quick demo, I went into the internet and consumed as much Kirby content as I could, which slightly introduced me to the beautiful world of Dreamland and its inhabitants. Months later, for my birthday, my mom got me Kirby Mass Attack, and my grandma got me Kirby Superstar Ultra, those two becoming my very first Kirby games. After those games, a bit later, I got what is now my favorite Kirby game, Kirby Triple Deluxe, the game that truly made me obsessed with this series. It introduced me to many aspects of the games which still have me hooked to this day, like for example, Terence's backstory. Ever since, thanks to Kirby, I had a source of joy in my darkest moments, and in my best. Thanks to Kirby, I am here doing what I love. Thanks to Kirby, I am the person I am today. Thanks to Kirby, I am here alive to this day. And thanks to Kirby, I will always choose to spread happiness and love with a big smile, even when it seems that the world is going to end. Because that's what Kirby taught me to do. Thank you, Kirby.
Hi everyone, I'm Starshot. I'd say I've been a Kirby fan for around 5, almost 6 years. 2016 was when I played my first Kirby game, that being Triple Deluxe. I was small at the time. At first I was pretty much the average Kirby fan you see online that goes, oh, Pink Puff, oh cute, just cute and cool things, whoop-de-doo. I didn't really think about much else except for actually playing the game until we got to 2018. That was when Kirby Star Allies came out. I didn't have a Switch at the time, so I decided to go and watch a playthrough instead. From the get-go, I love the game's themes of friendship, but I kind of had the same mindset that was until the final boss happened. When we got to that absolute last phase with the beam clash and everything, and when I realized why Kirby was giving his best effort, it was like the Big Bang happened in my brain. I went from the casual Kirby fan to, I need to know everything about this character immediately. And that was also when I learned what a cover character was, but I can't go on here rambling about how Kirby is my favorite character of all time, or we'd be here for hours. Multiple friends can attest to that. Since then, I've been a diehard Kirby fan, making new friends online who also share my interests, which from the beginning was kind of hard since kids at school, you know, they suck. The series has taught me a very important lesson that, you know, people can change. They're not always going to be bad people forever. I'm probably going to be a fan of the series for a long time, and I'm really glad I could make it to the year of the 30th anniversary as well as Forgotten Lands release. So, thank you Kumazaki, thank you Hal, and most importantly, thank you Kirby. Later gamers!
Hello everyone, it's me, Savvy. See this? That's my name. That's because I love me some video games. Reviewing and dissecting them is my passion, yet it wasn't always like that. When I was a kid, I sucked at video games. I loved them sure, yet I wasn't able to beat them without the help of those common power-ups that are basically the developers saying, hey kid, we know you're struggling, so just use this. You're depressing. I was able to complete 1 or 2 games in this way, yet it always left a bittersweet taste in me. Yes, I did beat the game, yet was it really worth it? One day, I decided to start another video game for my Wii, and lo and behold, that changed my life forever. It was just a small game called Kirby's Adventure Wii. Or well, Kirby's Return to Dreamland? Whatever. This game right here, oh boy, it's amazing. The levels were fun and creative and full of charm, the super abilities are awesome, and the final boss, it's just so good. I remember my cousin, who had already finished the game, coming to her home and going, hey guys, you see this guy right here? He's a traitor! Shocking reality. That blew my mind as a kid, and finishing the game made me feel like I, for once, met something that made me proud of myself. Now let's just fast forward to some years later, and I would finally try the 3DS entries, Planet Robot, and Triple Deluxe. I first played Triple Deluxe. And this game, if Kirby's Adventure Wii blew my mind, this game just revolutionized the way I thought about video games. Because this game right here, it's amazing. It has a very good sense of rewarding the player for exploring and finding the secret keychains. It doesn't feel too challenging, yet it doesn't feel too easy either. So that was basically my first true Kirby game. I almost 100%ed, but one day I accidentally deleted my save file. Don't ask me why. And after completing these 2 games, I became a Kirby fan. I would remember in the school days, I would get back home, turn on the TV and watch a Kirby anime. Oh my god, that anime is so good. The intro song is amazing, like chef kiss, it's that good. And when I became older, I became more interested in the older part of the Kirby history, and so I would play Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is still one of my favorite games in the Kirby franchise, as it basically includes a lot of different games in one, and it's basically the perfect Kirby starter pack. I would also play a lot of Kirby games during quarantine, like Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, Kirby's Dream Land 1, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Kirby's Adventure, and many, many more. I love how the series is so dynamic, and with its large catalog of spin-offs, it basically satisfies everybody. I'm also very happy where the series is going, and I can't wait to see what Kirby and the Forgotten Land has to offer. With that being said, Savvy, out.
If I remember correctly, which is kinda rare for me, I used to watch some episodes of the Kirby anime when it came on Channel 9 way back in the early 2000s. Back when Channel 9 on Saturday mornings was called the Fox Box or something, I don't really know. It didn't leave that much of an impact on me at first, but fast forward to the year 2008 when Kirby Superstar Ultra was advertised on TV. I can't believe I used to watch that. I will never ever play a Kirby game. Oh, this is fun. Oh yeah, this is my life now. And down the rabbit hole of insanity I fell. I was just taken aback by how colorful the series was. The fact how there was such a large multitude of abilities, the various characters, they all felt unique to their respective subgame. And a countless array of stories to be told. I just loved it. There's one specific line from the True Arena description that really stuck with me even to this day. When the pink terror raises his fist, even the strongest tremble in fear. What? This line, it's so nonsensical, so hilarious. The strongest are afraid of Kirby. Kirby! As they should be. He's the warrior of the cosmos, the meteor of triumph. Imagine a young character who packs a mean and wild punch, one who can traverse across the stars at a whim, one who has easily befriended the kingliest, most mysterious, most dedicated, most innocent, truly huggable, unbelievably dapper, cosmic warping, professionally spidered jerks! And he is still shaped like a friend. They all are. Look at this guy. I mean, if I'm being honest, my obsession with this series even started taking over my school life. And that's not all. Having heavily implied ties to Void Termina, same as Kirby, this implies that because Gooey is made of dark matter, Gooey and Kirby are potentially brothers. Makel, you were supposed to give a history report. Did I not give you history? Makel, please don't do this. Miss Q, I gave the class a history lesson. We're in an Ottoman Empire unit, Makel. They pale in comparison to the ancients. Oh my god. They have the ancient texts. You can't just do this. What have the Ottomans done for me? What has this dark matter swordsman done for you? It taught me how to dodge sabers. Miss Q, these are very important things. Please, please, please don't write an essay about Kirby and give it to your teacher. At least not when it's meant for a different subject. I'll let you be the judge of whether or not that actually happened. All in all, Kirby is a series that influenced a lot of my creativity, in more ways than one. Stellar cast, outstanding soundtracks, interesting lore. It's all been very tasty. So for that, I thank you, Kirby.
Hello, I'm Nim, also known as AphidKirby. The Kirby games are incredibly impactful to me. It's an understatement to say that they changed my life. It all began in 2015 when I played Kirby 64. It has so much at display that took my breath away. A charming cast of characters, an immersive universe with creative set pieces, delightful music, and of course, incredibly unique and fascinating creatures that never leave my mind. After playing Kirby 64, it left me thinking, How many other wonderful experiences like this have I been missing out on? I've played video games before, but after Kirby 64, I truly began actively seeking new games to play and be delighted by. And so, I became a Kirby fan. In 2016, I played almost every single mainline Kirby game released at that point, starting with Kirby Dream Land 3, which is my favorite video game ever made. The concept of saving the world by making a bunch of weird and lovely creatures happy really struck a chord with me. And by now, I've played every single Kirby game, including all weird spin-offs. Needless to say, my entire soul has been consumed by the charming universe of Kirby, the fantastic adventures I get to experience in it, and all the wonderful creatures that inhabit it. So, here's to more years of loving Kirby.
Bonjum, and thank you for having me. Welcome back to the Sting of Scorpion C31. The first video game and first Kirby game I ever played was Kirby Superstar Ultra on the Nintendo DS. Dueling with the self-proclaimed food-stealing king, stopping a mystical legendary monstrous mother bird, finding a way out of the ancient undergrounds, stopping a war from happening onto Dreamland, and saving the world from great disaster. It was such an interesting and wholesome experience that it made me want to see more from the cute, overpowering, heroic Puffball, which is why I continue to follow this fun franchise. If you've never played a Kirby game before, I definitely recommend you to try one. It's much more easier to experience it for yourself, you know, rather than to hear me ramble on. Every Kirby game is really unique on their own, so it's hard to have a favorite. Now, it is well known that Kirby games can be somewhat easy and redundant at times, and I totally get that. No franchise is perfect, but jam blasted. To me, all that doesn't really matter. Kirby's got me hooked. To me, the franchise is stellar for its phenomenal creativity and its fan service. Like, tell me this stuff isn't creative and worth playing through. You have a character that you can do pretty much anything with, and I think that's great. Thanks to his infinite power and copy abilities. And another thing that's great is that everything is connected in some way in the series. Even if it comes from the spin-offs, the comics, or the anime. If it fits, it ships. The lore is just so worth getting into. You'd be surprised how shockingly complex and even somewhat dark it can be at times. Oh, definitely check out my Kirby lore series if you're into that stuff. But you want to know what is the best part about Kirby's lore, though? It's that no matter what happens, Kirby reminds us there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hi, I'm Sonico. Despite entering YouTube content creation fairly recently, I have been a fan of the series for as long as I can remember. And that's because of this game, Kirby's Return to Dreamland. And I gotta say, what an introduction. I love everything of this game. The level design, the abilities, the story, the secrets, and the multiplayer. Oh my god, the multiplayer. To this day, it's still one of the best multiplayers in the series. It's simple, fun, and doesn't affect the core single player experience. Some may call it nostalgia, because it is, but this is still my favorite Kirby game to date. But hey, the Wii also has 2 other amazing Kirby games. Epic Yarn is probably one of my favorite games to just relax. The music and the aesthetic just give this vibe of comfort but sadness at the same time. I can't help but feel emotional every time I boot it up. There's that, and then there is Dream Collection. Such a wonderful collection with amazing presentation and extras. And this where I knew it was over. I became a Kirby fan. After that, I just kept going. I played every single Kirby game, I have watched the entirety of the anime, I have discovered and learned almost every little secret there is, and I even discovered the world of fan-generated content, from let's plays to fan games to ROM hacks. I can definitely say Kirby has changed my life. Kirby has shown to me the power of happiness, and that may sound like a stupid lesson for children or whatever, but I think a lot of people need Kirby, and thank God I met him, because my life would be far worse without the little pink ball. Happy 30th anniversary, and let's hope for many, many more years to come.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay and I do stuff. I was first introduced to Kirby back when the Right Back At Ya anime first premiered in America on the Foxbox. I have an affinity for anything cute, so Kirby immediately caught my eye. Soon after, I got my first Kirby game, Nightmare Dreamland, and immediately fell in love with the gameplay. Ever since then, I've always found myself drawing Kirby in one way or another. I've even started my own animatic cartoon series based on him. What I love most about Kirby is the variety. The gameplay is your basic 2D platformer, but there's so much depth with all the different abilities you can use. Even the characters range from typically cutesy, to funny, cool, and even scary. To this day, Kirby still ranks in as my top 1 fandom I'm in. Especially in this past decade, the Kirby series has seen a huge resurgence in innovation, characters, fan service, and even overall marketing. It makes me so happy seeing Kirby dive headfirst into relevancy again. But I've gone on for long enough. Bottom line, I've been a big fan for this long, and I'll continue to be a big fan until the sun goes out. Take care.
Hey guys, it's your favorite pea shooter, ToxicPea. Thanks again, DExus, for inviting me to this collab. I'm sure the other content creators feel the same way. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about my little history with the Kirby series. It all started when I was at the wee little age of, I don't know, pretty young. You know, me and my mom, we were at like the local game store, I don't know, someplace, and my mom was like, "Oh, son, look at this cute little game." And I was like, "Oh, wow, I want to play that game, Mom." And then my dad went and was like, "Son, you cannot buy this game. This pink puffball is too angry." No, it didn't matter because we got the game. And I think Triple Deluxe is pretty good. I wasn't a big fan of Kirby after that one. I thought it was an okay series, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I sold the game out, so you could tell back then I wasn't a big fan. But by the time Star Allies rolled around, I was already very excited. I think one of the reasons for that was like other content creators like Failboat, Meteorz, you know, the bigger guys out there that were sharing their love of and passion of the series with young kids like us. And I think because of that, I became such a big fan of Star Allies. Yes, I said it, Star Allies is a good game and it's my favorite game in the series. But yeah, I fell in love with Kirby Star Allies. It's a pretty good game. I'd say it has some flaws, of course, but you know, I liked it a lot. And I think because of that, I'm pretty sure I've been following everything Kirby related. I played all the games afterwards, and now with the Forgotten Land, I've started ramping up production on my YouTube videos. Speaking of which, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's right. So the thing is, back in 2019, you know, I was like editing a video project for school, and I was like, wait a minute, I just thought of a funny idea for a Kirby meme. Why don't I turn that into like a video and all that bunch? Because, you know, Kirby memes are pretty hard to find on YouTube, at least like back then in 2019. You know, most of the memes you'd find would be about like Mario or Pokemon, very little about Kirby, and I found that demand for Kirby memes is where I could slip in and sort of create a fan base. And I have a small one, but a pretty neat one indeed. I'm pretty sure I uploaded my first video back in 2019, which wasn't a Kirby video, by the way. But anyways, yeah, now that a few years have passed, I've gotten a lot better at YouTube, and I understand the Kirby lore and the Kirby series in general a lot better, and I hope one day to share my passion of the game with friends, not just through memes, but through lore videos. I've got a bunch of stuff cooking up in my back closet, and I'm really excited to share this stuff with you guys. With that being said, I am probably the least interesting person on this collab. There's so many other interesting content creators with great stories to tell, so let me end my part here. Thanks a lot, guys, and jam bye-bye.
Hey everybody, it's me, White Emerald! Yes, and Shark Emerald. That's what we're calling him now, I guess. I wanted to first thank DExus for letting me be a part of this glorious Kirby show. It's so good to be here, with a bunch of other content creators for the first time. Man, hold on, I only got like a few minutes. Just go back to the kitchen and play with the microwave again. Go! Shoo! Shoo! Sorry about that, roommates and whatnot, am I right? What was I saying? Okay, I guess we'll start over. I am White Emerald, as previously established. Happy to be here. I got into the Kirby franchise at a pretty young age with the game called Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, which I didn't know at the time removed the turtle mini-boss. After this game, I played the Amazing Bear and Squeak Squad, all in that order. Basically, my brother had originally bought Nightmare in Dreamland, and in order to be cool like him, I begged my parents for the same game, and of course, the rest is history. To me, the Kirby franchise is a very colorful and cute kind of place. It always brings a sense of adventure, familiarity, and comfort to me personally. Yeah, the lore is certainly interesting, but it's definitely not what got me into the series. I didn't get into the series because the lore is super deep, because it certainly is interesting, but honestly, the lore is just icing on the stolen strawberry cake. Whether it's the level design, the bosses, everything about this universe is so unique and well put together that you can't help but fall in love with it. The series is about friendship, adventuring, fun boss battles, and really, what else could you ask for? That's all from me. Happy anniversary to Kirby, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the collab. Dude, you gotta get a job.
Hey there pals, Pekachow here. Guess who just turned 30 today? There's no way you'll be able to get it right. If you get it right, I'll give you $5. Okay, but real talk, Kirby's turned 30, and I'm here to give you a brief rundown of my history with the Kirby series. So, let me take you back in time to the year, okay, I have no idea what year this was, but I'm pretty sure it was about a decade ago, so let's just say it was 2011, 2012 maybe? So on some random day I do not remember, under circumstances I do not remember, my mom whipped out her old Game Boy from her youth along with a few games for it, and among those games, like the only ones I can remember, were Super Mario Land and Kirby's Dream Land, and obviously I wanted to test it out. So I was given the choice to pick between the two games, and I decided to choose Kirby's Dream Land. And that's basically how Kirby's Dream Land changed my life. It helped me find a hobby I'm truly passionate about, as well as giving me a lifelong buddy in the form of Kirby. Kirby's Dream Land is not only when I started loving the Kirby series, but it's also where my Kirby addiction stems from. I vividly remember being about halfway through Kirby's Dream Land, and I just decided to put the game down and ran to the computer to play Kirby Flash games, and, you know, in retrospect, most of these games aren't exactly good, but I can't bring myself to call them bad. And from here, my Kirby addiction would only grow. I remember getting an N64 from my uncle, and before we sold it off for some stupid reason, I remember playing the hell out of Kirby 64. I remember begging my parents for a Wii just so I could play Kirby's Return to Dreamland and being on the website and just watching the trailer over and over and over again. I remember the Christmas where I finally received that Wii I was begging for, along with all 3 Kirby games for the console. And I remember the random, nondescript Kirby party that my parents held for me and my brother where I got these fake Kirby plushes that I still have. You probably have a lot of questions, and I don't have any answers. And after all these years, my love for the franchise has not diminished, and hell, it might even be at an all-time high right now. From having more Kirby knowledge than the average person should probably have to spending an undisclosed yet high amount of money on Kirby stuff, I'm a complete Kirby nutcase, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sup y'all, Ranger here. My experience with Kirby started back somewhere around 2010. A neighbor of mine owned the game Kirby Squeak Squad on his DS Lite. At the time, me being like 5, I had basically like little to no experience with gaming, but I still enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play it much, but hey, it at least exposed me to the series. About 2 to 3 years later, Kirby's Dream Collection released for Kirby's 20th anniversary, and my brother would go on to buy it. This was my first true experience with the franchise, having available 6 whole mainline games. I enjoyed all of them, but the one I enjoyed the most was definitely Kirby 64. At the time, the ability to mix powers together to create new ones was the most mind-blowing thing to me. This would turn into my most cherished game of all time. I'm still a Kirby fan today thanks to the infinitely fun gameplay loop, the amount of hidden lore to discover, and the vast collection of amazing releases that have continued to come out over the past few years, even up till today.
Hello, I'm Channel Kirby, and this is the official, or unofficial to be precise, channel when it comes to the Kirby series. With a name like that, you would easily assume I was a Kirby fan before even being born, but that's not the case. Although it was always a pleasure to play all the different Kirby games, my love for the series cemented itself when I first saw the first few episodes of the animation show as a teenager. Normally, a TV adaptation of Nintendo IP is associated with unfaithful portrayals of beloved characters, awkward storylines, and interesting voice actors. And even though the last part might apply to the English dub to some extent, the whole show felt different enough from what you usually come to expect. Every character behaved as if the show came before the games. The Monster of the Week kinda structure allowed the creators to implement as many iconic enemies as possible, and the continuity among the episodes led to excitement what could happen next. By the point I finished the show, I was fully invested into the franchise, and luckily, Return to Dreamland and Epic Yarn just came out right in time to reinforce my passion for my new favorite series. Of course, I played Kirby games beforehand, namely the Crystal Shards, Amazing Mirror and Air Ride. Especially Amazing Mirror and Air Ride were and still are fantastic multiplayer experiences, despite lacking any kind of much desired follow-ups or proper means to play the game together at all. Don't pull on the link cable. Despite the popularity of the Pink Glutton, the merits of Kirby games are not discussed enough, especially in the West, which is why we dedicated ourselves to change that and tell people why the franchise needs more attention. The Forgotten Land is the right first step, and with the prospect of many more exciting 3D adventures and hopefully Kirby Air Ride 2, the future of Kirby looks brighter than ever.
Hey guys, Silvery here. I made my bed for this video, that's how much Kirby means to me. My first Kirby game was Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, which I played when I was 6, and I've been hooked ever since. Whether it was waking up early on a Saturday morning so I didn't miss the Kirby Right Back At Ya finale, or obsessively calling GameStop to see if they had the Kirby Dream Collection in, or following every Star Allies reveal up until its release, you can guarantee that as long as there was something going on with the Kirby series, I was there. My love for the Kirby series is fueled by two major factors. The series is ever evolving, and it's not afraid to do something completely different every once in a while. We mostly know Kirby as a 2D action platformer, but sometimes it's a racing game, sometimes it's a puzzle game, or a 3D arena fighter, or a golf game. Even when it doesn't quite work out, I always appreciate the Kirby series' willingness to try out different ideas. Even though the series would experiment constantly, it never lost the identity of what Kirby was all about. Kirby is a cute, lovable hero with endless potential, and as long as that stayed true for the character, it stayed true for the series, no matter how different the games could be. Those two factors might seem contradictory, but that's the magic of Kirby. I've said before that Kirby the character is an enigma, and I think that holds true for the series as well. I can't really describe it, but what I do know is that wherever the Kirby series goes, I'll be there to follow.
Hello. I'm Muffin Snakes, also known as Cassie, and I am a fellow Kirby enthusiast. Kirby Superstar was my first Kirby game I played back when I was about 8 years old. For a while, I've been a typical fan of this series until I stopped paying attention to it. Return to Dreamland was the last game I played, and the series fizzled out in my mind. It wasn't until the middle of my sophomore year in college I was asked by one of my aunts, surprisingly, if I wanted Kirby Planet Robobot, because it was on sale. At the time, I hadn't played a new Kirby game in years, so I said sure. I was curious on how much has changed since Return to Dreamland, and it turns out Robobot was the game that made me the wacky Kirby fan that I am now. It was the first Kirby game that made me fully interested in the lore and looked deeper into the characters and world. I even wrote a whole essay for one of my college classes about Susie and Haltman. At the same time, I also like Kirby because, haha, cute squishy blobs and funny bleeding eyeball villains, ha. Easy to draw. But seriously, I really enjoy how the devs use their cryptic ways of telling a story and build worlds that make fans, like me, go theory crazy with every little detail presented. As an animator and storyteller, that influenced my work quite a bit. Anyways, thanks for listening to me ramble about my own Kirby lore. Yeah. Get it? I called my own Kirby related backstory as Kirby lore. Anyways, Dreamland 3 is my favorite. Okay, bye.
Hi everyone, Kirby fan here, otherwise known as Claire Fluffle, and welcome to my... Oh, wait, this is someone else's channel. My history with Kirby? Well, way back in the ancient times of 1996, baby Claire Kirby fan played Kirby's Adventure at the young, impressionable age of 2. It's my first memory and it's stuck with me ever since. Growing up, what kept me a fan were the early 2000s era of Kirby. Nightmare in Dreamland, Air Ride, and Amazing Mirror were the only games that I had until I could start buying my own. While I grew up with more Mario and Sonic games, most of my playtime on the Game Boy Advance specifically came from Nightmare in Dreamland, since there is only one copy of Amazing Mirror in the house and technically it belonged to my sister. What kept me a fan, though, was how deep these games were, Superstar Ultra in particular. To me, it felt like every other game around had some kind of a limit to what you could do, but Kirby was right there giving you so many copy abilities that you could play around with. Even Kirby without an ability felt pretty expressive, given you have access to so many cool upgrades, so to speak. This led to me playing these games for hours and hours, having the time of my life, mastering my favorite abilities. Or what I felt was mastering anyway, once I learned about things like speedrunning and how many people were better than me at this stuff. Well, I wanted to know more. I'm a fan of games that give you what feels like an infinite amount of options with very minimal effort or grinding required. I'm also a really big fan of Fire Emblem for that exact reason. You know, you can grind, but you don't have to. And I feel the same about Kirby. Getting an ability isn't hard, mastering it is, and unlike most other games of its kind, there are typically at least a dozen abilities to choose from. I'm very excited to see Forgotten Land continue this trend. Until then, I am Kirby fan and also Clara Fluffle. Bye!
Welcome friends, Last Scarf here. I have been doing YouTube for 8+ years and everyone knows I'm a Kirby fan. I have been doing a Kirby podcast for about 2+ years. It's got 50+ episodes called Kirby Dreamcast. And we're the only Kirby podcast. We're it. You search Kirby podcast, you're going to find us as the 4th result because of other groups that are doing different kind of Kirbys. But we're there, and it's been a very fun time being a Kirby fan. I've been a Kirby fan for 30 years. Guess what? I'm 35 years old. People say Kirby's just for kids. They're for kids of all ages. That's the better way to put it. I got Kirby's Dream Land when I was 5 years old. I got a Game Boy in Kirby's Dream Land on my 5th birthday, and I've loved Kirby ever since. This little cute puffball that's so cute, but also a total badass over the years with all the games that have come out. And what's great is the variety of games. You don't just do these platforms, which are of course fun, but you also have mini golf with Kirby's Dream Course. You also have the breakaway with Block Ball. You have pinball, Kirby's Pinball Land, very fun. And there's just been such a variety of games with Kirby, and they've been so cute, and the soundtracks have been so good, and they've been all over the place. Like, there are some real banger songs that people just didn't realize would come from Kirby, because people just think Kirby's a kid's thing, but it's not. Anyone can enjoy them. And keep that in mind, kids. You can be loud and proud to be a Kirby fan, even as an adult. I am perfectly fine in my skin on that. I am totally fine with my masculinity on that. I love Kirby. Kirby's my favorite. My favorite game? There are certain games that really change things up. Kirby Superstar, of course, is the first one to do that. Superstar Ultra refined it. And I'll tell you, Triple Deluxe. Triple Deluxe is probably my favorite when it comes to the modern Kirbys. It is just so good, and it utilized the background to foreground very well. Robobot perfected it, but Triple Deluxe was a heck of a game, and the final boss was Ectonia. So dang fun to fight, and so cool. Sullied Grace is just a heck of a song. And there's just so many great games you can choose from, though. I don't think you can have a wrong choice for the most part. 99.9% of all the Kirby games have been gold. They've all been very good games. And the anime is good. I really enjoy the anime. And all the light novels are very fun. And the mangas are fun. I'm happy we're getting mangas now here in the US. And of course there's all these plushies you can enjoy. As you can see right here. Lots of plushies. And Bandana D's finally getting one now. And so it's just a great time to be a Kirby fan. And it's going to be a great time to be a Kirby fan going forward. Forgotten Land isn't going to be the end. There's going to be so many more good ones. And I cannot wait to enjoy them all with everyone else.
Hello, I am LightMetaS, and I do Kirby remixes for YouTube. So, my first Kirby game was, in fact, Kirby's Tilt and Tumble on the Game Boy Color. And it is a very irritating game to play, but it's also incredibly fun and addicting, provided you're playing it properly, which for a vast majority of the time I was not. But I digress. So eventually I got my hands on Nightmare in Dreamland. I really liked that game a lot. But when I really sort of became more of a devout fan, I guess, was when I played Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo. I became this just narrow-minded fanatic of that game where I was like, I couldn't play anything else and have nearly as much fun. And like the co-op and all the different moves that each ability had was just, it was just mind-blowing. I loved that game, and it was like, at the point that I was playing it, it was probably like 11 or 12 years old. So I was so late to the party and I still loved it so much. So it's just funny. As to why I'm still a fan, I think, you know, it's kind of an interesting parallel because the way that I make my music, and I do remixes of the Kirby series, I don't really like to just have it be a vanilla, cover of a song. I like to draw upon different melodies and motifs and parts of other songs or reference other things from the series in order to kind of create an emotional connection with people who are long-term fans. And Hal, actually tends to do this in their game design quite a bit. All kinds of cool stuff like that. I just love that Hal respects the background and the roots of the games that they're making. And certainly they're not perfect, but it's just really cool to see, a series that capitalizes so much on what kind of history their audience actually has with the series. And I think that is super awesome. So that's just about it.
Heyo, I'm the Ultra Nerd, that guy that does the sprite animations. My first experiences with Kirby were on the Wii. I remember trying to beat the EX mode of Return to Dreamland with my dad and helping my friend 100% Epic Yarn and even falling in love with the music in the 20th Anniversary Dream Collection. The Wii was my personal Kirby machine. I even mained him in Brawl. And when I started animating, I found that whenever I needed a new idea, the first thing my mind would go to was always Kirby. Despite this, I never really thought of the Kirby series as one of my favorites, until I bought Triple Deluxe on a whim when EB Games didn't have what I was looking for. But after I played, and subsequently 100%ed that game, I was completely hooked. I was eagerly awaiting Planet Robobot, and when that came out, it really cemented my love for the series. When Star Allies was announced, I don't think I'd ever been more excited for a game, and that's when I decided to dedicate most of my channel to Kirby content. This series is one of my biggest artistic inspirations. I don't know if I'd be so dedicated to animation without it. I mean, my first sprite animation was 3 glorious frames of Kirby. I love that this series always seems to hold one goal above all others. More important than having a deep, complex story, more important than having simple but fun gameplay, more important than selling billions of dollars worth of merch. Kirby always, without fail, will try to make you smile. And somehow still accomplish all those other things as well. So thank you, Kirby. And thank you, Hal. Now give us Block Ball 2, cowards!
Hey, I'm TNHGameRemixes. I'm a composer for indie games like Head to Head, and I remix on YouTube. A lot of video games have a special place in my heart, like Sonic or even Pokemon, but Kirby really nailed something special with my career. From the time of Planet Robobot, I started making some really low quality remixes, like that, Star Dreamer OS one, the boss that made me go, holy crap, is that Nova? And from there, I met LightMetaS. He and I worked on one Kirby collab, Sectonia, and from there, the rest was history. There was even extremely skilled artists who tagged along and made some really sick pieces for our work, like Star Abraham. Light and I ended up working on things that even to this day, I'm surprised the general Kirby fanbase seems to love, like the Star Dream medley, the Soul Melter medley, etc, etc. But what I think really established me in the Kirby community was the boss raid. Several bosses to choose from, and it was an interactive album of remixes where people got to pick who the next boss was, and the story was affected based on who voted for that boss the most. I think it was really fun to make, and it really made for something special to this day, and I think it builds this close relationship with me and the viewers and stuff. It was wonderful. I'm grateful the American and Japanese Kirby community has this much love for the works that I brought. I never thought to this day that something I would do would have this huge of an impact, but here we are. 11,000 subscribers. Thank you, by the way. I hope you guys continue to support where the next Kirby games drop and the works that I'll bring from there, which, at the time of this video is Forgotten Land, but in any case, thank you.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I'm Commander Jersey. I just got back from a long day of running the Kirby Live Radio. Some people ask me, how did you get so into Kirby? Well, it actually all didn't happen immediately. It took a little while. I remember, back when I was maybe 10 years old, I was in a GameStop, and I saw, on the shelf, a game called Kirby Squeak Squad. And I hadn't seen much Kirby. I mean, I saw him in Super Smash Bros. And I'd seen a Game Informer article about this game being previewed, so I was like, yeah, I'll get it. And I don't know if you played this, but it's a pretty short game. But even despite that, I ended up playing it for hours, like days, months. You couldn't keep me away from this game. So, as a result, I started getting tons more Kirby games as they came out, like Kirby's Epic Yarn, Kirby Superstar Ultra, and Kirby 64 on the Wii's Virtual Console. But the thing that got me most into Kirby wasn't actually a Kirby game. It was a CD. So a little while later, I was in Target and I saw Kirby's Dream Collection Special Edition. And if you don't know, this game came with a few goodies with it too. It came with not only the game, but an art book and a music CD, which had 45 tracks from across the series' history. And for me, these are some pretty obscure tracks, like Iceberg Ocean from Kirby's Dream Course, and Ripple Field 1 from Kirby's Dream Land 3. And to let you in on a little secret, I never listened to music before this CD. Like, maybe in the radio one time, but I never just sat down and listened to music. Until this CD came along. This was the CD that really got me into listening to music as a whole. I'd put it on doing homework, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and put on the Kirby's Dream Land 3 soundtrack and listen to the whole thing while doing some essays. And this is eventually what got me into YouTube stuff too. I made Kirby mixes for YouTube and compilations of Kirby songs. And then, a year later after that, the Kirby Live Radio was born, which has been going on for about 4 years now. So yeah, I hope that this states a little bit of how much this series and this soundtrack and this whole general Kirby thing means. Well, I have to be off now. The Kirby Live Radio doesn't run itself.
Hey all, this is Pyrrhic Kong. I'm the director, voiceover guy, and head of Designing For. Kirby is the series that introduced me to the language of video games. I'd played games before Kirby, games that I truly love and value my time with, but nothing else ever felt like playing Kirby Superstar. I don't think I can remember a pre-Superstar time in my life. The game was just so fundamental to my understanding of video games, slowly improving, discovery, and learning to believe in myself to overcome any challenge. It's the first game I ever remember beating. It's the first game I remember calling my favorite. It's the game that I learned how to compare all other games to. And, well, it's just something that makes me unabashedly happy while playing it. Superstar was made with the idea of turning that excitement you get from fighting games into an accessible platformer, translating it into all sorts of scenarios and experimentation with a cozy but confident good boy to see you through. And I think that spirit has kept through Kirby's entire series. Kirby's always trying something new, in his story or his gameplay or his identity, but it's all kept grounded because there's this boundless wellspring of optimism coming from Kirby's characters and worlds. You can do anything, try anything, play with whatever jobs or power you want, face off against all sorts of cute enemies or horrifying cosmic monsters, but you'll always come out the other end smiling. Kirby's been a positive influence on me for my entire life. Be it uniting my childhood neighborhood to come over and finally beat the arena, or just invite people over for some rounds of checkerboard chase, doing challenge runs to get the most out of Kirbo's moveset, or just listening to music and living in his world. Kirby is meaningful because he's truly kind and inspires you to do your best. And it's instilled a passion that's kept me driven and guided me for my entire life. I love the little guy. So, thanks, Kirby. You've always been there for me, and I'm always going to be there to see whatever you're going to do next.
I'm sure it's pretty apparent based on the videos that I've posted on my YouTube channel, but I freaking love Kirby, and here's why. So, I've always loved cute things, and I always loved pink things, especially when I was younger, and so I immediately saw Kirby and I thought, yo, best friends for life. This is the guy. That guy right there, that one too, all of them in the background, they're my boys. I'm rolling with them for life. And so, I got Kirby Superstar Ultra on the DS my first Kirby game ever, and I loved it. It was the best thing ever. I couldn't stop playing it as a kid. And so I also saw online that there were these cute little plushies you can get of Kirby. And then I immediately thought, I need that in my life. As an 8-year-old, I feel like my existence kind of peaked at the thought of owning a Kirby plushie, right? So I told my mom, hey, Mom, can I have a Kirby plushie, please? And so she got me this little guy. This is my first ever plushie, my first ever Kirby plushie, and just general plushie as well. It's a mirror Kirby, and that's why it's my favorite ability as well, because it's the first copy ability plushie I ever got as a kid, and I love him a lot. He's got a cool hat and a magical wand, and he's very, very awesome. And ever since then, I've just been playing more Kirby games, playing Kirby a lot in Smash Bros as well, especially in Ultimate Smash 4. I've also been just very, very happy making Kirby content on YouTube, mostly just playthroughs and such, especially for Return to Dreamland, Star Allies, and right now Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land, by the way, greatest Kirby game ever. Just, God, it's the perfect video game. Nothing can top that. Sincerely, it's incredible. But, my opinions aside, Kirby has a huge place in my heart and in my life, and I just love the character so much. He's just a cute little pink guy, and that's all I need in life. Just a cute little pink guy to hang out with and have fun with. That's all I need. Thanks for listening, and thanks for having me on, dude.
Hey there, I'm Failboat. So, I played Jigglypuff a bunch in Smash Bros. Melee, and it was one of my favorite games to play with my friend. But then one day, he deleted his save file off Melee, and back then Jigglypuff was an unlockable character, so the closest thing that we had to Jigglypuff on the base roster was Kirby, another pink puffball. And if I'm not mistaken, was sort of what got me into Kirby back then. I played as him in Smash Brothers, and it just led on a escapade of playing one game after another. I recall playing Amazing Mirror on the playground growing up. And eventually, I got into making Kirby-based webcomics on various video game forums. And that was like my first brisk exposure to creating content online. And they were all, you know, fun little mediocre Kirby comics, but, you know, I made my OCs, I made my characters. Unfortunately, do not think I have them anymore, but they were a blast to make, and I remember coming home every day and trying to think about the next Kirby comic. But I got my love going for Nintendo, making those Kirby comics and playing those Kirby games. And through playing those games and getting more in touch with Nintendo, it eventually made me want to try playing it more for content on my YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel back then, primarily did Minecraft, and eventually I wanted to start bringing in Nintendo stuff just because by that point, I had already had my entire childhood filled with it, thanks to Kirby sort of spreading its roots within, you know, my interests. I think it's safe to say that without Kirby, I absolutely would not be here. I would not be making content, I would not be able to do what I do full time. My interest in video games and Nintendo and a lot of who I am as a whole is solely due to Kirby and those days I spent on the playground playing Amazing Mirror with friends, those days I spent waiting for Squeak Squad to come out and anticipating the release of Superstar Ultra by going to Kirby.com and checking out all the cool art drops and seeing the features of the game. It's wild to think back on. It's crazy that it's already been, you know, X number of years since all that happened, but yeah, without Kirby, I would be nowhere near where I am on this day. So, happy birthday, Kirby! Little guy means quite a lot to me.
Hello everybody, I'm ShockCat734.
My first Kirby game was Kirby's Return to Dreamland. I vividly remember playing this game and thinking,
whoa, this game is so much better than New Super Mario Bros. Wii, because you don't have to use as many brain cells when going over pits.
You can just fly over them. A year or so later I obtained Kirby's Dream Collection for the Nintendo Wii. I was a Kirby fan ever since. Goodbye.
Hello everyone, Chino Spike here. You might or might not know that I love Kirby. A lot. So here's my little story on how I met the Kirby series. It all started when I was just a 5-year-old kid. I was playing my N64 when suddenly my dad came back from work and rented me a new game I hadn't played before. I was very excited to play the new game, but then I saw the cartridge and noticed this pink character, and I thought that the game was for little girls. I refused to play it, but my dad told me I should at least try it. and I was like, okay, whatever. Then I inserted the game into the console, and as soon as the intro of Kirby 64 started playing, I was amazed by it and fell in love with the game. Never judge a game by its cover. And from that point I got interested in Kirby as a whole. Playing Super Smash Bros. Was the next game I met the Pink Puffball, and he was the character I played as the most. What made me a fan of the series? Well, that's easy. As a kid I really enjoyed the simple and fun gameplay of the Kirby games like Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, Kirby Air Ride, Kirby Canvas Curse. Also, the characters were very cool and lovable, and I really like the eerie feel the Kirby games have, and of course I still love every of these aspects in the new games. I'm something of a Kirby fan myself. One of the best parts about being a Kirby fan is getting hyped about an upcoming Kirby game and making crazy theories about it, like with Kirby and the Forgotten Land for example. I look forward to every future Kirby game, and my love for Kirby will just get bigger and bigger. Long life to the Kirby franchise. Well, that's all folks. Thank you for listening and have a Kirby Pie-O-tastic day.
Hey guys, it's me, Meteor. Most people know me for answering the question, what is Kirby canon? But no one ever asks, how is Kirby canon's creator? I'm currently 33, so I'm almost double the age of most Kirby fans. It goes without saying that Kirby's Dream Land was my first Kirby game, and I've played every single game since, except maybe the Satellaview ones. Regardless, I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. I always loved reading or discussing the lore from the games, even before Superstar Ultra, when the series exploded in that department. Sure, most of the theories during that time involved dark matter, but actually, I don't think the fandom's changed much in that department. Seriously though, growing up with Kirby, I got to experience the twists of past games without it being common knowledge at that time. Finding out Meta Knight's identity, the betrayal of Marks, or even the bad endings. These moments were huge. Every game had something memorable. What I find especially amazing about this series is that when Hal brings a character or element from a past game, it isn't just solely fan pandering. Almost everything that is brought back is heavily tied to the plot to where the story wouldn't be nearly as meaningful without it. At least, in the main games. I am very excited to see what the future of the series brings. Even if I may not be on YouTube for much longer, my love for the series will always continue.
Hey there, PaintraSeaPea! Or Seep for short. It's Kirby's birthday! Oh, that lovable guy. Gotta love him. I do. But why, you ask? Well, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of appealing stuff to Kirby. He's cute, he's easy to draw, which is important to an artist like myself. But on top of being cute, he's also, like, he's awesome and powerful. Like, he can be cute, but he can also be super awesome and, like, kick some butt. And I just love that duality. You know, he's innocent and has a strong sense of justice, and he's very forgiving, so those are some heroic qualities. Everyone likes a good hero. And really, when I think about it, I've kind of always liked Kirby. My first official Kirby game was Squeak Squad on the DS, which came out when I was 6, and I absolutely fell in love with that game. I even made a fanfiction picture book based on it. Yeah, which involved Kirby getting eaten by Snooter, and he goes on an adventure in Snooter's stomach. Yeah. I guess I just really dug the action-heavy, easy-to-play power trip that Kirby games provide, being a hyperactive child myself at the time. Now, the game that really sucked me in was Return to Dreamland. Like, I still remember being pumped over the first footage that they showed off of that. Remember that? It was like a 30-second gameplay thing that it was on some Japanese... Do you remember that? So yeah, since Return to Dreamland, I've just been a massive, massive Kirby fan. Like, I'm way into everything about it. I think about it all the time. It occupies my every thought. Man, the modern era of Kirby, like, seriously revitalized the series. We gotta give it up for Shinya Kumazaki, you know, the director of the Kirby series, because the lore and world building in modern Kirby is insane. I love how it's connected so many disjointed parts of Kirby into one big world. I love all the new characters and their stories with a sense of thematic depth. Like these guys, all their stories involve them being subservient minions working under a bigger bad with whom they used to have a loving relationship. I mean, that's interesting, that's depthful, that's juicy. In general, Kirby just has some great characters, like I love the Return to Dreamland squad. I feel like there's so much to bite into with their characters and their dynamics. Like DDD's change of heart from being a villain, Bandana Waddle Dee sort of being like this underdog figure, Meta Knight learning the value of friendship. And just like the gameplay and Kirby's design in general, it's all communicated so simply. All this depth, yet it feels so purposeful. It feels so rich. And I guess that sentiment kind of wraps a bow on this whole conversation. It describes the greatness of Kirby as a whole. It's simple, but rich. And that's what I love about Kirby. Okay, see you later.
Happy anniversary, Kirby!
Happy anniversary, Kirby! Happy anniversary, Kirby!